Hi creative friends, welcome to Art for Healing and Joy. I'm Robin Randolph, and in today's video I'm so excited to share some of the new things I've been discovering and fresh inspiration I've gotten from hiking out in nature and finding art in nature. It's been about 3 months since I've been doing art, and if you're new to my channel, I began doing art after recovering from a very painful hip surgery, and I was struggling doing stick figures when I decided to try watercolors for the first time. And at the age of 67, I discovered how much I love to actually work with watercolors and paint, and never ever considered that I could do anything other than stick figures. I had no idea how much joy there was in doing art and how it would dramatically improve my healing process. My hip is healed enough now so that I can finally get out and go out and explore in nature. I've been bringing my camera and photographing different textures and finding objects and bringing them back and working with them. So much fun, new, fresh inspiration. So that's what this video is all about today. The last couple weeks, I hit this wall. I'd seen a lot of videos about doing abstract art with acrylic paints, and I wanted to challenge myself to work on canvas for the first time and trying to do what I thought was going to be really easy. You know, have you ever seen art and thought, oh, that abstract art looks like so easy, I could do it? Well, it's not as easy as it looks. And I was just hitting a wall, hitting a wall, hitting a wall. And what I wanted to achieve was creating textures in layers and perhaps working with fabrics or lace and just experimenting with having a very simple, almost neutral palette. And yeah, I did get some lacy textures, but this painting never went anywhere, and I just felt so blocked and so stuck, and no matter how hard I tried, it only got worse. Intuitively, I knew what I needed to do was to grab my hubby and pack up the car with some cameras and art supplies and head out into the beautiful autumn nature. I desperately needed to switch things up and to hike and to explore again, and I wanted to make my focus on textures and shapes and the colors that I just love in nature, like this beautiful light gray blue and rust colors and this sage seafoam greeny moss color. I was also on the hunt for anything and all things with interesting natural marks, especially things with dots or interesting lines or angles. And this started a 4-day adventure of drinking in and soaking up every morsel of natural beauty, trying to capture, whether in paint or sketch or through using my iPhone, anything and everything that inspires me. And to discover and rediscover that art is everywhere in nature, and that we can create art in nature. And we can be inspired by the random marks, textures, colors, and shapes that are found in nature. And all of the photos I'm sharing with you here are ones that I just took on these adventure days, and will definitely be showing up in some form or another in my upcoming art. And as you continue to watch, I'm going to continue to show you the things I found and collected and photographed of what was inspiring me and the art that has come from it so far. You will see how by choosing to take a break and go out in nature and have adventures, that changed everything and got the creative juices flowing again. And I want to encourage you, if you are experiencing any type of creative block, for you to do the same. On the way home on day 1, after spending a glorious afternoon down by the river, we stopped in at this wonderful country pumpkin patch to pick out a couple of pumpkins, and I just couldn't resist photographing these adorable little creatures. And right away I was drawn to this beautiful blue pumpkin. And again, I saw that color with the rusted wheel, and I loved it and had to take a photograph. On day 2, the adventure continued, and we stopped in at a couple of open art studios. And much to our surprise and delight, the wildlife rescue folks were there with these gorgeous owls because that particular artist had painted them. And so that was just a really neat thing that I got to photograph them, as well as this display of beautiful wings and feathers. And later on in the video, you're going to see how all these seemingly random photos come together in a new inspired art piece. On day 3, we ventured out on my first real official hike with my husband since my hip surgery. As we were walking in the woods near our home, we discovered these incredible madrone trees. In this incredible natural art, I could absolutely see the torso of a woman's body. Can you see it? Comment below and let me know if you see that too. And for the sake of creating natural art in nature, I couldn't resist displaying the little acorn that was found in the belly of the tree. While I was busy photographing the tree, my husband Jeff discovered something in the grass, and he said, "Come over here and look at what I found." And look at what he found. This was such an incredible score. I couldn't even believe he found this. Look at this. He unearthed an old kettle, an old rusty kettle. Now here's the amazing synchronistic thing. That very morning, I signed up for a brand new course that absolutely caught my attention. That's all about using found things in nature and on adventure hikes and repurposing them for art. And this course is already so inspiring and amazing. It's an online course with a renowned artist named Shelley Rhodes who does mixed media and textile art. And it's called Finding Fragments. Before we went on our hike, I watched enough of the videos to receive the first lesson, and part of the assignment was to collect objects in nature and bring them home. And when this got unearthed, I knew I had found a treasure that I'd be using in this course. And I find it quite serendipitous that this is what I found. And the first thing I thought was I could use that to dye fabrics. So he carried it home for me, and I can't wait to use it to create art. Here are a few more inspiring things we saw and photographs I took on our walk that day. Art was everywhere, and things were just speaking to me all over the place, like these sticks. This one totally looked like a snake in the grass. And this leaf absolutely made it into my collection bag. When I first saw the leaf, I thought that those were little black and white dots, and I was immediately intrigued. Once I got home and on closer inspection, this is what it looked like. Another thing that excites me about this course I'm taking with Shelley is it's just so aligned with what I already am passionate about. I love collecting objects I find in nature, and I was able to bring home these newfound pieces and add them to some of the other things I already had. Like I already had these feathers, and that stick just looks so beautiful together with those feathers. And look at these beautiful little pods that come off of a tree in my backyard. They look almost like some earrings I have, some gold earrings. They're just beautiful little shimmery pods. Can you imagine what you can do with this for art? I came home and watched more of Shelley's lessons. And as I was gonna sit down and prep an assignment for the next day, all of a sudden, magically, I got this incredible creative inspiration to go and take my photos and put them together in a grid. It just came into my mind to do this. And I did it, and it kind of formed itself. I didn't plan this. I just picked out photos that I was drawn to. And within, like, I don't know, 2 minutes, this is how it got laid out. And I noticed when I stepped a little bit away from it, it looked like a cat's face. Comment below if you can see that too. Also, in the top middle picture is a angle of looking at a round piece of a tree stump. And I noticed how the way the wood is split, it almost looks like it's coming into the shape and point of a V that looks very much like the nose of the owl below. Can you see that as well? I'd love to hear any thoughts or comments below. I'm calling this piece Inspired by Owls. Yesterday was day 4 of this adventure, and this time when I set out, I had a couple of great assignments that I had gleaned from the lessons of my new course with Shelley. And it just blows my mind that the assignments dovetail and echo and further enhance what I was already naturally inclined to be drawn to and already doing, like photographing things in nature that inspired me and looking for marks and textures and things. This just lined up so much with what my assignment is. So I set out with a pocket full of old reused art that was headed for the bin, but then I decided to use them and cut them up and use them as backdrops. The only thing I prepped ahead was the 2 pieces with the black marks and then the grid that I did in pencil. And we chose to take a path that was an old historic path that was the mining path. So when they first discovered gold here in Southern Oregon, they created these troughs, and this was part of the processing of what they did with the gold. So without divulging too much of Shelley's course, and of course I want to really encourage you to consider taking her course because I think it's already incredible. From the prompting of that lesson, I took what I saw from the trough to inspire my first marks on the old recycled art card that I had brought with me. But here's another cool fun fact. I had no idea what we were going to see on this hike. Now clearly I added the X and the vertical line to reflect an abstract of the trough. But I had no idea that we were going to discover this old rusty piping and that the colors of the pipes would be reflected in the already prepped old recycled artwork. When I got back to my studio and pulled out the artwork I had done and looked at the photos that I had taken, I was mind blown to discover these similarities. So many of my original marks from my reused old art showed up in the photos of what I had found on our walk. This just boggles my mind. So up in the top left corner, you can see on both my original artwork and the photograph, there were X marks. And then also when you see the red arrow at the top there, I'm noting that there was a line that came down. So in the photo it's a stick, but in my drawing it's a black line. And then also the circled lime green area, I'm noting how the rivets, maybe those are pins or bolts on the rusty pipe, is also somewhat reflected in what I circled in my original drawing, the 2 little round marks there. And there's more. If you see also at the top left corner of the photograph, there's a white diagonal line, and you can see similarly there's a white diagonal line in my original drawing. Something new that I have to share with you that I haven't seen before. So when I rotate the original drawing here, painting, on the diagonal like this, can you see how this line across here and this line across here mimics this shape, this cylinder shape of the piping? And then see these little rivets right here, the little pins, see along here? And then, okay, notice this darker, very dark shading that makes sort of the seam of the piping. And then look here where there's the darker shading here, or it could be here. As well as the use of the rusty rose color and that light blue on the very top part of the cylinder. I don't know, is this just me, or are you guys seeing and feeling this too? Please let me know in the comments below. Also, in the bottom right hand corner, notice in the photograph there's a stick that's kind of curved in the bottom there, and also similarly in my original drawing. I am just mind blown, honestly, speechless, gobsmacked. I don't even know the words here. Like, how did that happen? I could understand maybe if there was one sort of similar type mark, but there are several here, all located in the same places. I don't know how that works. It's kind of pretty magical. I am so elated in the whole process. Like, I'm not caring one iota if I made, beautiful art or sellable art or anything. It's the process. This is priceless. Are you kidding? This is just so much fun. I can't even begin to tell you. That whole artist's block thing has turned into such a breakthrough. I'm just smiling from ear to ear. And speaking of smiling, check this out. So look at that black like space in the photograph that kind of looks like a smile, sort of. I mean, I could see that like as the mouth on a pumpkin. And then look at my original drawing there, and you'll see some black marking that, this is kind of a stretch here, but I can see a sort of quasi smile from my markings. But I also circled in that black circle that in the photograph you can see sort of a rusty rose color, and it looks to me like it's the very same hue as I circled from my original drawing. But more unique than that is the actual texture of the white gesso paint that I blotted on is making similar splashy, like dotty marks as on the actual photograph of the piping. The similarities are uncanny and seem to continue, and I've got one last one to share with you. If you happen to watch my last video, Make and Paint with Mineral and Botanical Art Inks, I shared about a woman who is creating beautiful pigment inks from natural sources. And the top two landscape paintings in this photograph is the artwork I made with her inks using only a stick to create that. And it was a piece of artwork that was just fun, and just basically I was going to throw it away, but I just felt drawn to bring it as one of the backgrounds of this little adventure I was on. And then I felt compelled to create the two pieces below it with the little black marks. I mean, I had no reason or understanding why I was making that. It's just what I felt intuitively to make and bring along. And now I get it, and how it all comes together magically. This is what I put together and filmed while I was there as it was unfolding. I'm going to freeze the frame right here for a second and show you that I put in these like stair-stepping marks to reflect what I was seeing right there on this particular part of the trail, as well as including the pipeline mark in the natural pigment ink painting on the right. So here I'm going to show you what inspired those marks. So here was these wood stepping blocks that led down to this trough area. And keep in mind, I had never been here before, so I didn't know about any of this or what we were going to discover on this walk. But now I see why I was led to create those black marks. They sort of mimic the steps, and they work beautifully together with those drawings. And then here is the trough. Notice how the wood slats that go across the top also mimic the markings I made with the black ink. And here is the pipeline that inspired the other marks on that drawing. And I had so much fun putting together the two pieces. And for me, now it completes that work. And to think, about a week ago, I was struggling to contrive abstract art, whereas here, this is organic, intuitive, abstract art that sort of forms itself. What a huge difference it made to step outside and immerse myself in nature. I'd love to hear if you have any similar experiences. And my channel here on YouTube is all about art for healing and joy. And here is the pinnacle point of the joy for me is that I made it up 3 miles on this hike, my first big hike with my husband in 4 years, to get to the very top viewpoint so I could get this beautiful vista for the first time in years and years. And that is all about how the joy from the art just nourishes me and feeds into the continued healing. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful process. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. And if you're inspired, I'd love to hear any thoughts or comments in the comments below. I would love to hear any of your experiences with art for healing and joy. And thank you so much for those of you who have already subscribed, and thank you for your likes and comments because it really encourages me. All right, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.